where we actually have a special event tonight. As you can see, we actually have a lot more guest speakers on the screen than we normally do at these events. We are super excited to present our Battle of the Real Estate case studies tonight. We actually have 4 different guest speakers with us. They have each brought their own case study. They each get 10 minutes to present. And then we have our lovely resident judges, Nathan Long, Jeff Watson, and Tom Barry have joined us again tonight to score each of the case studies. And by the end of the night, we will determine who has won the best battle of the case study for tonight. So I do just have a couple of quick announcements that I want to go through before we get started. Quick standard disclaimer. Please be aware that Quest Trust does not give tax, legal, or investment advice. We provide a lot of education. We are going to be presenting several different deals, case studies, various types of investment strategies here tonight. But please be aware that all of these case studies are strictly for educational purposes only, as well as all of the other events that we host here at Quest. So basically how it will work tonight, this is our agenda. Feel free, if you want to keep tabs of this throughout the night, whip out your phone, take a picture of it. That is how I will be going off of the agenda all night as well. But I will be doing some quick announcements. We will introduce our judges. And most importantly, here in the beginning, we are going to find out what specifically our judges will be judging over and be looking for in tonight's case studies. As you can see here, we do have 4 different guest speakers. Each of our guest speakers will get 10 minutes to present their case study, and then we will have 5 minutes for each of those to get feedback from the judges. Now, the judges will not be revealing their scores until the end of the night, but I know we have a lot of people online. We had about 200 people register for this event. So all of you attendees out there, be sure to let us know in the chat, which case studies do you like? What do you like about them? If you think something was cool, our judges will be looking at those comments throughout the night as well as they are scoring each case study. So once we get through everyone, I'll come back on at the end. I've got a fancy little PowerPoint scoreboard for you guys and should be a lot of fun. All of our case studies are really different tonight, lots of different strategies. So I'm super excited to have all of you join us. Now, just a quick commercial. Who is Quest? We are a self-directed IRA custodian. We're based out of Houston, Texas, but we do have clients pretty much all across the country. We hold about $2 billion in assets under management. And the reason why we like to mention that is because all of that $2 billion in assets under management is all privately held assets that our clients self-direct and hold in their IRA accounts. We're a pretty good sized company. We've got about a little over 100 employees across the state of Texas. Our offices are in Houston, Austin, and Dallas, but we do work with investors all across the country. We give presentations across the US, even though most of those are all virtual right now. And again, that disclaimer, just in case any of you guys forget it. But at Quest, we like to help our clients diversify their retirement portfolios by teaching about how to invest your IRA outside of the stock market. So the IRAs that we hold at Quest legally are exactly the same as any IRA that you might have at any other custodian. The only difference is the types of assets that your custodian allows you to invest in. So to be completely honest, most of our clients have IRAs at both types of institutions. Maybe you have some IRA funds at Fidelity, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, but as a part of your long-term wealth building plan, it is so important to truly educate yourself about the different options that you have for the investments that you hold in your IRA, because most Americans only have their IRAs invested into stocks, mutual funds, other sorts of publicly traded securities. But at Quest, we like to think a little bit differently. And not only do we provide a lot of education about self-directed IRAs, rules and regulations, all of that fun stuff, but we like to bring in a lot of different guest speakers as well to actually present over various different types of investment strategies. At Quest, we can't really tell you what to invest in, but we really strive to provide high quality education every single week over all different sectors of the real estate investing world. Now, we do actually have 7 different types of accounts that can be self-directed. This is where building a relationship one-on-one with one of our IRA specialists becomes really important, because we're the IRA experts. We've gone through a lot of training internally here at Quest to walk you through certain questions. Do you have an old 401k? Do you have a Roth IRA? If you're looking to get started with an IRA or looking to maybe move some of your funds into a self-directed IRA, go ahead and reach out to us. Set up a consultation, start building that point of contact here at Quest, because we are here to help every step of the way. And it's always free to talk to us. We're here to answer your questions, and we do not sell investments. So we are always coming from a completely neutral standpoint. Now, as you'll see in the different case studies that we have here tonight, you have a lot of different options as far as where you would like to invest your IRA funds. There are some restrictions. You can't invest into your own business, can't use your IRA to invest into your own personal deals, but you have a lot of different options, whether you want to be active and maybe hold the actual real estate in an IRA, or if you want to be completely passive, maybe invest into a multifamily deal, or maybe to be a private lender. You'll actually see both of those in tonight's case studies, but you have a lot of different options, and it allows you to apply the skill set and the knowledge that you have to your IRA investments, and you could potentially never pay taxes on the growth within your IRA. So lots of fun stuff there. I want to get through it because I want to get to the main event tonight. But the other event that we have coming up that I do want to touch on here just a little bit is QuestCon Live Private Lending Edition. So since pretty much the structure of every event has changed over the past year, everything is now online. We actually came up with a new online self-directed IRA conference. It's a full 2 days online with about 20 different guest speakers, and tickets are in pre-sale right now. This will be our third QuestCon that we've hosted since the beginning of 2020, and it's really taken off. There's a lot of high value information in this event. And for all of our QuestCon attendees, we actually have an exclusive virtual networking happy hour for you guys as well, the night before QuestCon begins. So be sure to get your tickets. They are in pre-sale right now. And, like I was saying, if you guys have questions, reach out to us, give us a call, send us an email. I know in today's world, most of you out there now know how to use a QR code. If you're interested in scheduling a consultation with an IRA specialist, you can scan this QR code and sign up for that in about 15 seconds or less. If you have questions, visit our website. You can chat live with an IRA specialist anytime during our business hours, or give us a call, send us an email. We really pride ourselves on being very accessible. It's easy to get a hold of us. We're always here to help answer your questions, no matter what part of the process you might be in. So reach out to us, check out our resources online. We do have a lot of great further education in addition to this event as well. And if you've been with us for a while, we now have a newly revamped referral program. So refer your friends to Quest. You'll each get a $25 credit. Just make sure that they put your name and the promo code referral on their application, and you guys will get a little bit of a credit there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Before we get started with tonight's case studies, I want to introduce tonight's judges. So I'll kind of go down the list here, and judges, go ahead and each take a quick minute to introduce yourself. Let us know what you'll be looking for here tonight. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll start out with you, Jeff. I think you wanted to go first. You've got some hot criteria that you're looking for tonight. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what you'll be looking for.
Well, I want to tell you, thank you for the compliment referring to me as a lovely judge and with some hot criteria. Wow. I feel like I'm on top of my game. Thank you. We were conferring before the broadcast went live, and I think all of the judges are looking at it from the same way. And Nathan got it probably in the best way, which is we're looking for deals that are repeatable. We're looking for deals that use a self-directed retirement account. We're looking for how simple the deal is versus how complex, because I think all of us are big fans of simplicity over complexity. We always matter for all of us, especially Tom, return on investment, ROI matters the most. And then also we're looking at the timeline as well as the time involved. How long did it take to put the deal together, and how long does the deal run? I mean, a hard money lending deal that is only good for 90 days doesn't impress us as much as a 5-year deal where you earn a really good rate of return. And if I've missed anything, I'm sure either Nathan or Tom will fill us in. And by the way, my name's Jeff. I'm a lawyer. I practice law pretty much exclusively with self-directed IRA clients, and I'm privileged to be a member of the Quest Trust Board of Directors, which means that I get to work with Nathan on a pretty regular basis. It's pretty cool.
Awesome, Jeff. Always awesome to have you here. Next up, let's go with Nathan. Nathan, what will you be looking for tonight? And kind of introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey everyone, I'm Nathan. I'm the president of Quest Trust Company. And you know, I've always think that I've worked myself up, but you work yourself up to a position. Now I have to report to Jeff because he's on the board of directors. I don't know how that happened, but you know, it just happens.
I'm ready to queue up Hail to the Chief right now because you're the president.
No, I wrote the same things down: repeatability, self-directed, simplicity, return on investment, timeline, and time involved. That's what I'll be looking at. I'm excited for these. I always love to hear the stories of other investments. It always stimulates ideas and things that I want to try. Tom, what are you looking at?
Some of the same things. I like everything that y'all have mentioned. I would add to it some creativity. A lot of times people will come up with some really cool strategies that are still simple, but they're just out of the box thinking. So those are the things that I'm going to look for most.
Awesome, Tom. Jeff, Nathan.
Tell us who you are, Tom.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So Tom Berry, I run a hard money lending company, Investor Loan Source in Houston, and I'm an active real estate investor.
Awesome. Perfect. So thank you guys so much for joining us. To all of our judges and to all of our speakers, good luck. You've heard what the judges will be looking for in tonight's criteria. For all of our speakers, I will be kind of introducing you guys as we go down the list. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen really quick on that PowerPoint. Give me just 1 second. And first up, we actually have Rick Bresler. Rick is a local investor here in Houston who is actually a regular at our Quest classes every Tuesday, you know, obviously before COVID happened. He's with Kaylee Capital Investments. They do a lot of investing, a lot of private lending here in Houston. And Rick, I do have your slides pulled up here. Give me just 1 second. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. Rick, the floor is yours for the next 10 minutes. And whenever I need to go forward on the slides, just let me know. Oh, and Rick, you're muted. We can't hear you.
All right, start over. Kaylee Capital Investments. I'm going to talk about assisted living, senior housing. You know, it's kind of the been very, very popular lately. And I thought this would be a nice little change of pace. But it doesn't matter where you're a hard money lender, fix and flips, buy and holds, assisted living, senior living, even an IRA company, basic principles are still the same. And this might have been a better presentation for the Halloween scary show, but I'm going to throw this guys at you. It might help somebody. I hope it does. But real quick, first, I flipped my first house back in 1985, and I've been flipping houses as a side hustle ever since. I started lending money in 2012 when I rolled over a 401k to Quest IRA. Now, back in 2012, Quest was the new kid on the block at that time, but wow. How Quest has exploded to become probably the best and biggest IRA company nationwide. So I just want to hand out a kudo to Quincy and also Nathan for impacting thousands of lives in a powerful way. You guys have impacted deep and wide. So I just want to put some kudos out there, especially for Quincy. We started being a private money lender in 2017, and mostly to fix and flip folks and buy and holds. So a little preface here. My English teacher always told me, tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. So here we go. Learn from other mistakes, especially mine, right? There's no need to reinvent the wheel with all the stuff that Quest does from an educational standpoint. you guys really take hold of some of the mistakes I've learned from a lot of people at Quest. I hope this really helps somebody tonight. My decision to invest in this project was driven by the passion to do good for those less fortunate, to make a difference, and make a good profit that can be used to expand what we were doing and help even more people. But I broke all of my own rules. And a side note, never invest what you can now afford to lose. So I was lucky there. Next. So I'm just going to set the table real quick. I first kind of got interested after hearing Gene Agorino promote his investing in senior housing stuff. Everyone's probably heard of Gene. That actually got my antennas up. Then a good friend of mine followed Gene's model in Gary, Indiana. He's got an amazing $1.3 million new build, 16-bed facility, and he's knocking that out of the park. So I was aware of the potential, but I really wasn't looking for it. A family we knew became homeless. They'd been evicted by the sheriff. All their crap was thrown out into the front yard. It was a single mom with Alzheimer's, with 4 special needs adult children. None of them worked. We found them sitting in the neighborhood park in the middle of the night, in the middle of February, with no place to go, no money, no transportation, no food, no family, nothing. We put them in an extended stay for a little bit. That got expensive. There was no room. We put them in our RV and kept them there. But Michael's where it all started. He was 23, had an IQ of only 35, needed special help, and we had to get him into a group home or someplace. We looked for 6 months. There were no beds available. Star of Hope, churches, numerous government places. There was nothing available for anybody. But a miracle happened one day. A bed opened up about 6 months later in Kingwood. We jumped on it. The operator seemed to be doing an amazing job with about 13 different adults with disabilities. Next slide. And after a while, we found out that she was looking for a bigger place because there was just more and more requests for this kind of service. So we're lenders. I'm an entrepreneur. So we started talking about how maybe we could partner with them if they could find the right place. They found a great place outside of Cleveland, Texas, that we could lease and then purchase later, which was great because, okay, that lowers our cost of entry. It was previously set up as a group home by a psychologist, so the bones were there, but it was never put into operation. The operator, my partner, supposedly knew all about ADA compliance, and her family had construction and rehab business. Rehab was in the construction and rehab business for years, so that was, all the stars were lining up. The rehab budget was $100,000. It's going to take about 4 months to complete. Next. So here's the deal. And this was a license to print money. This was a 20 or 24 bed facility, $5,000 a month per bed, $1.2 million per year gross revenue or more. Expenses are about 50%. So there's about $600,000 of gross revenue. For our participation, we were going to get 8% of the gross, which was going to be $9,000 to $10,000 a month. And we were going to get our rehab paid back over the course of the first 24 months, 2 years. So that's, in my book, that's an amazing return on an investment. And then we were going to purchase the property, and I was going to use IRA funds to purchase it. So I'd be sure it wasn't a prohibited transaction before year 5, and then lease it back to the business. So that was going to generate another $2,400 a month. So, and the whole idea was to take that money and expand it for future facilities like Brookwood in Brookshire. Don't know if you guys know Brookwood, but the other thing that got me in this process was they charge $6,000 a month per bed, and there's a 5-year waiting list. So tell me that there's not a huge need for this type of service. All right, next. The place, what a perfect place. 5,500 square foot house. Again, 20 to 24 beds, had a big indoor pavilion and workshop. It was on 10 acres, which was great for expansion. And there was an additional 25 acres if we wanted it. It had horses and Shetland ponies. And man, I tell you what could be better, right? All right, next slide. What could go wrong? Well, it was the partner. After we got to know her for a while, all of a sudden something changed. We didn't know it at the time, but she got off her meds. And I found out that she was a paranoid schizophrenic, no typo there. We didn't know. And then she's also using meth. And then we found out that she got off her meds because she was worried about having to take a blood test in order to get the license to run the facility. So she got off her but when she got off her meds, she went completely nuts. And so the operator, so she sold the landlord's horses without her permission. So that's really called horse theft in Texas. And the landlord became extremely hostile. Things just went downhill. The operator moved 13 people into the building before we were licensed. So that was a huge no-no. She wasn't paying rent. She was using COVID as a reason because, renters don't need to pay rent during COVID. It was in her mind. I think she sabotaged the septic system, and the owner just had it, filed for eviction. And, but the operator just melted because no one could actually come to an assisted living facility during COVID. So they couldn't actually get her out, but the eviction was going to set place. She went ahead and left with everybody and gutted the place. So she got the revenge. So what happens, there's no way we can move forward. We had to pick up our marbles and go home. So next. So the top 5 lessons, there's about 30 lessons here, and I could write this could be a 3-hour movie, but don't get blinded by the numbers. And I'm a numbers guy. So based on the numbers you saw, you can see where I was salivating, and that definitely clouded my judgment. And I was overlooking important warning signs. Kenny Rogers said it best, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Partnerships, man, they're very risky. Use them only as a last resort. Now, I've got a great partner in my business. I know Tom Berry's got a great partner. Nathan's got a great partner. If you got a great partner, they can save a failing business, but a bad partner can ruin a good business. You have to be so careful. Some of the rules I didn't follow was my own due diligence and background that we do on our borrowers. Felonies, she did them. We should have known about it. Lawsuits, we should have known about them. Terrible FICO score. The warning signs were there. We just didn't look. We were so blinded by this project. And a little tip for everybody out there. I found in my experience, the FICO score is always a true indicator of how people roll in life. If you've got that's my 10-minute thing right there. So FICO scores are important in judging people. Experience, be sure your partner's got the right experience, and have a plan B, C, and even a D. We did not have a plan B in case the operator went off the rails. And we're not an operator in this kind of business, don't want to be an operator. So we broke a lot of our own rules. So anyway, that's my 10-minute spiel.
All right. Well, Rick, I will say you are brave for bringing that one with us. Give me just 1 second. Let's see.
Wow. No,
all right.
I think he's brave, but also, and he also makes me realize there was a category that we should have included, which was education.
Yep.
And you learn more from bad deals, am I wrong, Tom, than you do from any of your good ones, like ask any of our speakers. So I really like that. And I want to thank you one more time for acknowledging my brother. He really is a good man who's changed a lot of people's life, including my own, and he deserves that praise. And I thank you for that. You got points just for that in my book.
Awesome. Nathan, thank you so much for that feedback. Tom, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with Rick on on a lot of things about that, but the one in particular was this was really more suited for Fright Night than it was for this, because dang, he would have
won Fright Night.
yeah, you'd have scored really well on Fright Night. But very educational, and again, like Nathan said, that is highly valuable too. The biggest takeaway was sticking to your own rules. You're a pro, and you, even as a pro, got blinded. We all do. I do too, to this day. You get blinded by either liking the people or liking the numbers, right? And in this case, there may have been a little of both. And we just throw all of our rules out the window that we know darn well are there for a reason. So it was very educational. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Jeff, you got any feedback you want to add to that?
I got a couple of things I'll add to it. I really appreciated the fact that you were considering using a self-directed retirement account if it would not be a prohibited transaction. You were aware of that evaluation that needed to be done going into the deal. I like that. The other thing that I really liked was it had the potential of a tremendous rate of return over a very long time frame. Those things, I understand why you got enamored with those numbers. And from an educational perspective, 10 plus on a scale of 1 to 10. That was a 10 pluser for educational purposes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Guys, judges, thank you so much. Be sure to note down your scores. Remember 1 through 10. And Rick, thank you so much for joining us tonight and starting us off on a strong educational foot there.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Now, next up, we have Miss Kaylee McMahon. Kaylee is a multifamily syndicator based out of Dallas, Texas, also a regular at our Dallas classes before everything went online. Kaylee, you're a rock star. I'm so glad to have you here tonight. The floor is yours for about the next 10 minutes. So feel free to go ahead and get your screen shared. I'm excited to hear your case study.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sure. Okay, cool. Rick, I second everything that you learned. Oh my God, it can get crazy out there. Okay, so I did not time this, so we'll see how this goes.
I'll cut you off if I need to, don't worry.
Is there a warning ding, or is it just like ding ding, you're done?
I can give you a little ding if you want.
Okay, so let's see. I can't see my whole screen, and hopefully you guys can. So just to introduce us a little bit, my name is Kaylee McMahon, and I was going to be covering a deal that Deep, myself, and Carolina did, but after reviewing some of the criteria for the judges, it looks like something that goes full cycle and something where I can actually show you an ROI is going to be a little bit more effective, I guess, in this competition. So I'm going to cover actually the first deal that I ever learned on. However, we do things a little bit differently here at the Apartment Queen. And so just for an example, a deal we did close in December, the three of us ladies did. So it's just a little synopsis of our backgrounds and why we work well together. So this is typically what our business plan looks like when we go into a value add deal. So that's what I've done so far. I've done one yield play deal, but everything else has been a complete heavy value add. So what we do is we go in and we re-tenant and improve the operations on the property, which means that we're going to be adding in, if not changing out, professional property management. This deal that we just did, it was Touchstone Property Management. We want to make sure that they're managing properties nearby so that they're familiar with the area already, because they're part of the due diligence process, getting us market studies, knowing exactly what everybody in the market's charging, what amenities are out there. They're kind of the experts guiding us along and repositioning the property to another class higher. So this property in particular, it's in an A- neighborhood and it's a C-class deal. So this one we're repositioning to a B- property. We're always repositioning to a class or two higher. And we always want to consider the tenant base whenever we're looking at the business plan ideas. So this one, it was highly medical. On this one, and this is pretty typical, you'll see in the actual breakdown of this deal in a couple of slides. The amenities that we usually do are carports, we add lockers, we build barbecues, and put in a park bench, the nice big, like the rubbery kind of park bench that you see at schools, not the plastic type. LED lighting, security gates, cameras. We want to make sure that we can add more security to the property and get some of the riffraff out of the property and be able to control them from coming back in. vending machines, light conservation and toilet replacement. So doing ratio utility bill back. So making more income pretty much throughout these interior and exterior improvements. This is typical of our plan. And then throughout the process, what we do is we buy a building that typically is 90% occupied plus. And then as people turn, that's when we're turning the units and we start doing the interior upgrades. Usually, like I said, it's not very vacant. So that just happens over time, over 12 months after the leases are renewing. Or like I said, the residents are leaving. And then our exit strategies usually vary, but this is pretty typical where we'll exit 5 to 7 years exit now. I do have a track record, as you'll see in a minute, of exiting in 12 to 24 months, but I always try to, under promise and over deliver. That's, I think, the better way to try to do things. So this one in particular was meant to be, or projected to be, a 5-year hold if we needed to be. So this is just like the overall idea of what we usually do for our value add deals. So this is the actual deal that we'll be covering. And I'm going to try to see if I had to squeeze it in here. This was part of a much larger, much longer presentation, but I'm trying to get it in 10 minutes. So the first deal was 18 units purchased in Dallas for $1 million. The property was managed by a single family, a property management company focused on single family. So we had to swap them out, like I mentioned, to property management companies that are focused on multifamily buildings so that they know how these properties work and operate. Most residents in the property were Section 8 tenants. They paid about $125 out of their own pocket. The city paid the rest. The average rent was about $600. The property was completely trashed and no improvements for about 10 plus years. So we call that deferred maintenance. So that's not always fun. Drug dealing and prostitution were rampant on the property. That's not always something that attracts me to a property, but it just depends on the potential here. So you can see how low these rents are and you'll see what we get them to. We evicted some tenants and the other leases were not renewed. Property policy was changed that we just decided, you know what, we're not going to renew the Section 8 housing assistance. And obviously, therefore, the tenant base was changed. We started renovations and put $10,000 per door on the interiors, which is about $180K on this property, invested $100K on the exterior. So literally fixed all the deferred maintenance and fixed everything. Like I mentioned a second ago, typical of what we do: barbecue grill, pergola, added controlled access, added cameras, painted the property, and added cedar planking around railways to give it a modern look. This is the cool part. I think that this is creative. I always try to get a survey of the residents. Like on this current building, are we going to be doing lockers in the basement of the property so that everyone has more storage? Or are we going to be doing carports? Or are we going to be doing like this, the 12 storage units? This was an awesome deal. So if no one's familiar that's listening with how cap rate compression and value add is so powerful when it comes to the multiple it provides on a multifamily property. Here's an example. We put in just 12 storage units on the back of this on one of these buildings, and it cost us about $20,000 or so. And then based on the property value saw a $120,000 increase in value based on the compressed cap rate. So it's net operating income it's a cap rate divided by NOI. I'm probably saying that wrong. I got to write it out. NOI divided by cap rate equals the value. So you can manipulate that formula to basically understand what I'm saying. So we just injected $20K and got $120K in value based on the cap rate of the property. So we increased rents to $950. So that's a huge bump. And then again to $1,100 once all the renovations were finished after about month 12. We sold the property in 13 months for $1.8 million. So that is 100% return on your investment just based on the purchase price and the sale price. And annualized return wise, I think that's about 15%. And so that's pretty dang good. But on top of that, not only do you get the appreciation money as an investor in a multifamily property, you also get the cash flow. So during the time, not the whole time, but during some of the hold time, we were distributing part of the cash flow from the rents also to all the shareholders in the company. So you get the cash flow and the appreciation. And if we had held this longer, possibly would have been a really great refinance property, but as part of kind of getting started and just showing it can be done and moving on to the next. So here's some pictures of the end product. I don't have pictures of the beginning, but I know what it looked like. Just kind of, it was actually a good property, to tell you the truth. The prostitution, drug dealing wasn't awesome, but at the same time, it wasn't on the inside. The bones were good. It wasn't, that the foundation was completely screwed up. The roof was like 15,000 years old. Like we had to do everything. It was just, the siding, The exterior landscaping was huge for curb appeal. And then my favorite part, of course, is always the bathroom and the kitchen. So you can see here, we had used Exist Multifamily with Kim and Matt on this one. And so that's where we get those supplies for the backsplash and the cabinets and fixtures. And I mean, look how nice it looks. So before there was just basically nothing there. Some units we kept some carpet, some we did full vinyl plank, but most in the wet areas for sure it's that vinyl plank. So I think that's it. So I'll just do a quick little plug for myself. If you want to get involved, that's my website, apartmentqueen.com. And we work with two kinds of clients or two kinds of investors, accredited and non-accredited. And later on, I can pop this in the chat when there's Q&A, but there is a link for accredited and a link for non-accredited and a link for our investor profile. So I think I made it under 10 minutes.
You did, yes. You have 2 minutes left. So I know this was your first deal, but you've done other deals that you also raised capital from IRAs as well. Do you kind of want to touch on that in your last little 2 minutes that you have?
Oh shoot, yeah. Let me try to go back. Because on the beginning of that slide deck, I can show the one that we just closed on. I just can't share the ROI because it's not, sold yet. Shoot, what did I do? You want? That's me. You want? I think it was on this one. Nope. Oh, right there. Okay. And then sorry, this stuff's all in the way. I'm losing my 2 minutes.
Yeah, if you can't pull it up, feel free to just like talk about it if you want. I know we chatted a little bit about it before the actual event started.
I can pull it up, but I've got like all these tabs and bars and pop-ups and get off my screen. Oh my Lord. Let's see if I can get it before that pops back up again.
I took your screen share off because your email was up there. So, but
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, we got a minute left. Do you have anything else you want to add to that case study? Maybe anything you learned or anything like that?
Sure. So I can just, I guess, flash up real quick on here. So on that case study, obviously I learned so actually I was looking at a property right down the road from that recently, which was like cookie cutter, almost the exact same thing. But we're talking, I don't know, like 7 years later or something like that. And so from that one starting, so the price, the entry point price is higher, but really at the end of the day, it's kind of like, what are your rules and what are the things that you're going to stick to? One of the biggest lessons, and I keep having this lesson pop back up because it's so tantalizing because everything's so overpriced right now, multifamily, to talk yourself into, oh, I could make this make sense, or based on future valuation because Dallas is exploding and it's not changing, this makes sense. But, the principles that we are based on is based on you make your money on the buy. So based on the purchase price and what the business is operating at right this second, what could I realistically exit at? And so I have to keep my assumptions based on that. So if I'm entering at a high price, there's less room to make profit. And so if I'm going to find not a multifamily property to buy, but an actual quote deal, that's what I need to be hunting for. So keeping the standards high of the return profile and keeping the standards of what has worked is hard, but that's been the lesson, is to stick with that, because the one time that we didn't do it, we had okay returns, but I just wasn't as proud, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Kaylee, great case study. I know you do a lot of multifamily investing up there and analysis of those deals as well. So it's always great to have you, even though it's a short 10 minutes. Hard to get it all in there. Judges, let's bring you guys back on. Nathan, I see you here first. What's your feedback that you have from this case study?
Okay, great case study, right? Repeatable, had a good return on investment, had a good timeline. All right. It wasn't very simple, but commercial investing isn't, right? I got that.
Oh, it's simple. Nobody died.
Where I think you got points down, and this case study had it in there, was the self-directed IRA.
Oh,
and how you could be involved with very little time, right? If I'm a qualified investor, I could have just been a partner in there, involved myself with very little time involved, and been able to piggyback on top of all your knowledge. And that's the part that I think that you missed in your story, which was there.
Yeah, it just wasn't on a slide. Half of the investors were from Quest or from NewView or from their something.
Right, and they didn't put a lot of time in it. They didn't look for the deal. They didn't hunt it down, or any of those type of things. They piggybacked on your experience as the lead to be able to do that, and that's typically how IRAs invest in these type of deals.
Awesome. Tom, let's go with you next. What's your feedback from this case study?
Well, I love apartments because I have done quite a few apartment deals, and some of those, since I was a value investor, look just like that. So I love that type of deal. I guess what I was missing in it as a judge was what was the ROI for the participants in your syndication? What was that ROI that the investors got? I saw what the overall return was, and obviously that was phenomenal. But we know there's a carve out there, and I don't know what the percentage is and so forth. So you were just rushed. I agree with Nathan. This was a phenomenal case study. Of course, I'm partial to commercial anyway, but you were just rushed. And you did.
I just wrote you a $47,000 check today.
Oh, that's hilarious. Awesome. Tom, was that it? Did you have anything else?
That was it.
Jeff, what you got for us?
I really appreciate the presentation, and it's really good to finally put a name, a face, a style to a person that's been sending me emails about apartments for I don't know how long. I don't even know how I got on your email list, but I get them from you. The other thing that really jumped out at me, and this was because I own a building that I want to improve and get it ready for the next phase of my life. And when I heard you share some of those really good nuggets about, I'm only going to vinyl planking now on my own stuff. Everything's vinyl planking. I do not let carpet in my building. But when you shared that some of the kitchen and bathroom units are literally just cookie cutter, I was like, I got to go find my own version. I got to go find my Ohio version of that. So that was, you're going to get bonus points for me for that. The other thing that I loved was the rate of return. I just judged you on the overall rate of return, doubling your money in about a year. I love that. That is great stuff. So that was good. And the other thing I give you good marks on is if you had chosen to stay in the deal a long time and it continues to just hand out cash. I like that factor as well. Where I gotta give you bad marks is I didn't hear self-directed IRA. I know they were there, but I didn't hear it. So that's where I am.
Awesome. Well, judges, thank you so much. And Kaylee, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you guys want to see Kaylee give a longer presentation, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. She's guest spoken on several of our classes. And I don't think Kaylee, you're so smart. It's so cool to hear you talk about multifamily and the numbers. So great resources there, but let's go ahead and move right along. We have all sorts of different case studies for you guys here tonight. Next up, we actually have Josh Paper Profits. Josh is a note investor, and he has actually written a pretty popular book that Quincy has contributed to as well. So Josh, the floor is yours for about the next 10 minutes. Feel free to go ahead and share your screen, and I can't wait to see what case study you brought for us today.
All right. You guys hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to share this. Oh. There we go. And that's not the correct screen. Give me 1 second here. We'll do it this way. There we go. Can you see that slide, or is this on the wrong screen?
Yeah, you're on the wrong screen. You are showing the Insightly right now.
How about this? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Josh Andrews. I appreciate you having me on this evening. All brown nosing aside, Quest is definitely the resource for self-directed that we refer our investors to. We have approximately 30% of our investors that have accounts at Quest. And we've had nothing but good feedback, good response, and that's primarily the reason why we refer investors to Quest. Also, at the end of this really short presentation, I'll give you guys a link to my book, Paper Profits, which is an educational resource for potential note investors. And there is a chapter in there that Quincy contributed. He was very generous to do that. It's actually chapter 7 on how to invest with your self-directed IRA in notes. So I'll just talk with you a little bit about this specific case study. I don't know if this fits the bill of what's called repeatability, that's been talked about tonight. We do a lot of these types of deals on a large basis, and they're kind of all over the place. They're wildly profitable, but they don't all turn out exactly the same. And so this one here, I would not say is a stereotypical deal, but it is very unique in as I bought this with my own funds. It was inside of a self-directed IRA. So this is something that can be done, and I'll just walk through it here. So we have a background. I've been doing this since 2012, buying both performing mortgages and then non-performing debt. And so what that means, non-performing, is just, it could be a first or second position lien on a property. And this is always, at least for us, it's going to be a single family occupied. These are not fixer-uppers, they're not vacant. And so what we come in and do is we buy these at a discount if they're non-performing, and try to work something out with the borrower. And we have a very specific process to do that. Typically it's foreclosure. We use attorneys. This is not something we do ourselves. This is something that's contracted out. In this case, what happened was I was presented with a tape or a spreadsheet of a bunch of different deals which we ended up buying. And then I saw this one here, and I was familiar with the seller, took a deeper look at the property. And this one was not our stereotypical one because there's a lot of unknowns. Usually when we're going to buy, like if this is a second position, we need to know what the first position lien balance is. Always need to know that, and then a few other factors as far as fair market value, so we can determine our equity position and how much we're willing to put in this deal. So on this one, the reason I kind of deviated from our norm a little bit was I had some other outside data from just doing research on this borrower. So this was a non-performing second position lien on a property in Florida. And the borrower himself, when I did some research, was he basically was a manager of a couple strip clubs. And he had filed a bankruptcy, BK13, which he self-discharged, didn't want to follow through with. And so that provided a lot of data for us to look at and see, what does this guy own? What's his assets? What did he owe in the first position lien? So I felt good about that because we had a lot more information going into the deal. One of the things that was interesting on this deal is the first lien was delinquent, and we never buy second position liens ever if the first lien was delinquent. But on this one, because I had the information, seeing how much money this gentleman made every month, I was pretty confident that we could work something out, or at least there was some sort of profit there. The fair market value on the property was right around $400,000 at the time, and this was a couple of years ago, so it's probably increased quite a bit by then. Since then, the first lien balance, it was unknown. It was kind of based on his bankruptcy records. It was around $400K, so almost no equity in the property. And the first was foreclosing. So they were trying to take the house and repossess it because he hadn't made payments, but he was fighting it, and they had fought it for like a year and a half. So what that told me was this guy wanted to keep his house, and otherwise he just would have walked away. And so he's paying, an attorney to fight for him against the first lien. So I thought, okay, let's check it out. The second lien balance that I was buying, the unpaid balance, was $68,000 and change. And that's what he owed, the unpaid balance. But he hadn't made payments in a long time, years. And so there's arrears and late balances and all these things that were adding up to right around $119,000. So that's what I stood to potentially make on this deal. But obviously there's a lot of risk factors on this that's really outside of our normal buy patterns. One of the good things is the borrower's FICO was in the mid 700s. So really when you're doing due diligence, at least on something like this, it's a little speculative. You're trying to draw on various data points. You're not looking at one thing overly much, but you're drawing on various things to kind of paint a picture. Another positive that I liked about this one is that the borrower was in the home since 2005. So he's been there a long time, made a bunch of money, had some issues, filed BK, got out of it, and now he's fighting the first lien so he can keep his house. So there's something there that this borrower wants to stay. So the purchase price, I ended up purchasing this from the seller. Remember, it's non-performing, so I'm not receiving any cash every month or anything like that yet. The purchase price was $7,500. And the total amount of secured debt against this property, again, it's a second position, was about $19,707.61. And so I didn't ever expect to recover all of that. I expected to make a profit on my $7,500, but I knew there potentially was not enough equity to make that work for the whole $119. I don't think that's reasonable to expect. What we did differently on this one, usually we do the foreclosure process and then modify the loan for the borrower. And let's call it 95% of the time on everything we buy, it works out that way, or a payoff. So it works out very well. On this one, I had decided, because the first lien was in foreclosure, that I would actually use a different tactic that I had never used before, which was suing the borrower directly on the note. And the reason for that was really, the first lien's already ahead of us in time in foreclosure. So if they finish that, they're going to wipe us out. We're not going to have anything. And I've lost $7,500. But if I sue the borrower directly, it's going to cost me money and time and effort. But there's a potential there to basically, garnish wages and have a settlement with him later if he is a high income earner and continues to earn money. So that was my thought. And it was low dollar, for most of the deals. So I decided to try it. The legal fees got a little bit out of hand. Usually our legal fees with this kind of thing run $3,000 to $5,000. This one was almost $12,000. So that added a lot of cost to the overall deal. So our basis, obviously, between those two is $19,227. That's our out of pocket. That's what we stand to lose, really, at the end of the day. And if I knew I was going to put that much legal into it, I probably wouldn't have done it, just based on the deal and some of the data points. But once you're in it, we're very close to a resolution. So to give you a timeline, we purchased this June 5th, 2018. And this is actually the longest deal that I've ever had from start to finish with this type of asset. Usually they're resolved inside of a year, 14 months maybe. What ended up happening on this deal was, I think the borrower actually worked something out with the first lien to modify it so he can make payments and keep the house. And so he had an intermediary, basically like a settler of some sort, contact us and say, hey, what do you need for settlement? And they were trying to do a short sale, then they weren't. And what ended up happening was they made a lowball offer. And I looked at it and I thought, there's not a lot of equity in this. I'm surprised they're actually even coming forward to make a payment. My other out is going to be, to finish suing on the note and get a judgment against the borrower, et cetera. But we ended up settling just for a lump sum, a cash lump sum of $46,200. And I thought that was good enough. I didn't know how far I could push them because I wasn't really certain about the amount of equity and what they had settled on with the first lien. So I didn't know how much spread there was to actually get. All right, let's see if I can go to the next slide. So here's basically the numbers and the ROI. So purchase a second for $7,500. The total amount of the secured debt that you purchased is right about $119,000, like we talked about. Spent the 11, let's call it 12,000 in legal fees. So we settled for the $46,200. Overall, this is the longest. I mean, this is an extremely long deal for us for this type of asset, 2.34 years. But the ROI is good. It's not going to make you rich, but it's something that for low dollars, let's say you had less in legal fees, hopefully, usually it's half that maybe, your ROI is going to be very high. You're going to make quite a bit of money, at least for the money you've outlaid. It's not going to make you rich, but it's something you can do. Again, that's probably not our typical deal. I don't want to mislead you and think that you should be gambling with your IRA money, because I don't believe in that. I do believe in taking calculated risks, but only on money that you're prepared to lose. So in this case, $7,500, it's not going to break the bank. I wouldn't have bet a large sum of money on this. And then I think I'm still, I don't know how much time I have left, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite all the viewers to get a free copy of my book. I'd be more than happy to send that out to you. It is a physical book. And so if you'd like to go to that link that's on the slide, or even the main website to that website there, paperprofitsinvestors.com. There's just a simple form on the website. It's going to ask you, your name and mailing address, and we'll actually send out the book to you. There's no selling in the book. There's no, pitching. We're not trying to get you to do anything. It's just good, solid educational content. And like I said, chapter 7 in there is written by Quincy. He was very generous for that. And it does discuss in depth some of the main questions and walkthroughs on how to purchase notes, any kind of notes, performing notes, non-performing, inside your self-directed IRA. So I think that'd be valuable. If it's of interest to you, we'd be happy to get it to you. And then just in closing, if you do have any questions, if you'd ever like to talk about notes, again, that's not our typical deal, but we do have a couple note funds. We do manage investment funds for self-directed IRA investors. We're investors ourselves. I actually started in this business with my self-directed IRA. So that's how I kind of got started in 2012. But feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk with you about what we're seeing in the market, talk about performing notes, which we buy quite a bit of. Those are just kind of set and forget kind of things. But yeah, feel free to reach out to us or visit the website. We'd be happy to speak with you anytime. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to everybody today.
Yeah, definitely, Josh. Thank you so much for taking your time to come present that case study to us. Notes are always so interesting because you can really get that totally passive mailbox money. But yeah, let's hear from our judges, though. If we can bring our judges back on, we've got Nathan, Jeff, and Tom. I know you guys are here somewhere. Let's see.
Pushing the buttons.
There you are. Nathan, let's go with you first.
Oh, great story. I like the creativity in it. I like that there was multiple exit strategies out of this particular deal, but I also like how you did the due diligence on it. And the use of self-directed IRAs was also a big point gainer in there. Also, great educational content. It's a good way to understand that sometimes the best way to look at a deal is to take it back and paint that picture. And I like how you did that. So you scored high in a lot of areas for me. Definitely repeatable, not totally simple, but, advanced notes aren't, they just aren't. I always say every good real estate investor wants to grow up to be a note investor. But I thought it was good, entertaining, and had a lot of good knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Jeff, do you want to go up next?
Oh, thank you. Josh, I love the deal. I'm gonna spill a little bean on you. I love how you used Pacer to look inside and find stuff that wasn't normally out there. Good tactic there. It's a tool that a lot of investors need to learn how to use. And digging into the bankruptcy petition filed by this borrower whose debt you were buying. On the first slide, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, that's a deal I'd do. You put the second slide up, you showed what you paid for it. You didn't pay for that, you stole it. That was a steal of a deal. Congratulations on grabbing it. I also like the strategy of suing on the note. The downside to that, as you discovered, is the borrower likes to litigate. And he apparently has, because of whatever circles he runs in, he's got some ability to get some pretty good legal fees and, run things around. Could you foresee that? I don't think so, but still, all in all, you did really good. That's a really good deal. Educational time horizon was 2 years. Wasn't a whole lot of brain damage doing the deal. Strong ROI. Wasn't super simple, but it wasn't ultra complex. It was a matter of stuff you could do while still wearing your fuzzy slippers and pajamas, all the research and doing it all. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got for you there.
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you for your feedback. And Tom, what did you think of Josh's case study?
Well, I like notes too. I do run a couple of note funds too. So this one was right up my alley also. The creativity on this was really cool. I don't do non-performing notes, so I got a lot of education out of this as well. That is not in our wheelhouse, and it was really cool how he did the due diligence and the ROI obviously was the big winner in all of it. So fantastic. And thanks, Josh, for sharing that with us.
Awesome, judges. Thank you for your feedback. Be sure to note down your final score. And Josh, thanks for bringing the competition tonight. I'm excited to see how this one scored here at the end. Now, next up, last but certainly not least, we have Tang Wynn and Eric Kane. Tang and Eric are investors out of Dallas, Texas. They've done a wide variety of deals, and they've actually brought a really interesting case study for you guys here tonight. Tang, Eric, I can see you guys. Feel free to go ahead and share your screen and take the full 10 minutes. You'll have until about 7:45.
Okay. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome.
And while you're pulling that up, I love your poster in the background. You can't deposit excuses. Can't do it.
Thank you. All right, guys, can you see this?
We can, yes.
All right, awesome. So my name is Tang Wynn.
My name's Eric Kane.
And we're going to show you how we acquired 5 townhomes without $0 out of our pocket. Just real quick, go ahead.
So again, my name's Eric. I started investing in 2017, pushing over 260 deals now. I'm the integrator for the Odd Brothers is kind of how everybody knows us. Our company's FWE Invest, and one of them. And then I guess I specialize in fixing everything. So from processes to plumbing. Yes, last week. So
he saved my house from flooding last week during the Snowmageddon. My name is Tang Wynn, been investing since 2016, done over 300 deals from wholesale, fix and flip, wraps, up to you name it, rentals. I'm the visionary of the company, and I specialize in creative financing. All right, so we're going to start with this 5 townhouse. This was in Grand Prairie. It's a 5-unit townhome, and here are the numbers. So I guess we had a wholesaler bring this to us, and they were around like 360. They were asking 360. We just came in, we walked the property, and we finally agreed at 315. We did a quick walkthrough. Just looking at it, we're just shooting at about $45,000 per door on the property. I'll show you why in a little bit, why I shot at 45. Estimated closing cost was about $10,000, so $2,000 per door. The grand total funding we needed was $550,000. That's to cover like the purchase, the repairs, closing costs, and everything, right? We ran numbers and got it at the ARV at $800,000 on February 18th, 2020. So real quick, let me see how can I. So I'm going to show you guys of some before and after.
you have to share the screen.
Okay. Can you guys see this?
No.
I still see your slide.
Yeah,
Okay.
so do new share.
Stop share. And then I'm going to do a new share. Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right, guys, see this?
Almost. Not yet. Yeah, we see that.
All right, so this is the beauty that we purchased. As you can see, this thing's pretty dilapidated, pretty beat up. It's crazy. So this guy who owns 5 of them, his granddad used to own all 40, and the granddad passed over these 5 units to him 20 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, so I think he owned them for 20 or 30 years, something like that.
Yeah, and he turned these 5 units into a motorcycle chop shop. So this was what we purchased. We walked this. They had about 20 bikes, tons of parts.
There were tires on the roof.
Tires on the roofs. No ceilings on a lot of them, all caved in already. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, nobody lived in those units. They lived in one of them, but the other ones hadn't been lived in I think something like 20 years.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is what we purchased. Nice wallpaper there.
That's pretty.
Yeah. These are videos, but I don't know if I can play videos on here, but okay. So yeah, so that's what we purchased. And I'm gonna jump back to the presentation now. Okay, so.
Sure, everybody can see the presentation again?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So here's a quick timeline of what happened. All right, so January 15th, we had a wholesaler bring this deal to us, and I walked the property. February 1st, I was able to raise $550,000, 5 different lenders, 2 of which used their IRA from Quest. So 5 units, and each one was different. So we had 5 different lenders on all 5 units. So that was pretty cool. February 18th, we closed and funded, right, in 2020.
Yeah, roughly. Some of them, we had a lot of fun with the closing and the title company that closed this one. And so it was kind of strung out for about the next week to get them all closed.
Yeah. And so originally, the original strategy was to sell 1 unit and refi 4 units and keep them as rentals, because 1 unit was away from 1 whole building. 1 building had all 4 units, so we wanted to keep those 4. But guess what happened in March? COVID comes to play, right? The city shuts down, cannot pull permits. It was just,
we couldn't get subs out to work. It was the shutdown. They were told not to go work, so that was our first delay.
Yeah, of many.
Yeah.
Right, so April 1st, yeah, delays in inspections, shortage of materials, etc.
Yeah, appliance packages, you name it. It just took longer to get everything for a while there.
Yeah, that was like from April to October, just dealing with that. And then comes September 14th. One of our lenders needed his IRA funds back, I believe, to make a big purchase.
Yeah.
And so he was short. So
he had to show money in the account, pretty much is what happened. So we were actually going to just pay him the money back, and then we were going to redo a loan where he sent it back to us. But as it played out, we pretty much paid him off and just carried that note ourselves. So we paid him out of his IRA, and that was it.
Yeah, because when we originally set this whole deal up, we were just expecting 6 to 8 months in this deal. So that's right around the time that he needed the funds back, right? So we're like, okay, cool, no problem. But he understood. He knew that COVID hit, and so he was willing to just show the funds back in his account and to send it back whenever we need it. But we were okay. We're doing fine during COVID, because it was just one deal out of many that we were going through during COVID.
Exactly.
So, October 2020. Here's an interesting spot.
This is the fun part. I'm going to jump in real quick, just because. So at this point, I was the only one that had spoke to the HOA president and I was speaking to them to try and figure out, can we change colors? Do we have to use the same lamp posts? I mean, you name it. I was talking to her about it, making sure dues were being paid, and everything at that point. So we decided we were going to go to the annual meeting, because there's things that we wanted to change in the complex. There's 8 total buildings, 5 units, 40 units total, and we wanted to make a few changes just to clean it up, things like that. So we figured, what's the best way? Get on the board. We knew we had a little bit more time on the units, so that was our plan. So we went to the meeting.
And I became a board member of the HOA.
Tang did.
I did. I wasn't trying to, but I was there to support Eric.
Which I did not get on the board.
Yeah. So I got on the board, and then a month later, I became president of the HOA, which was pretty fun.
Voted the president by somebody on the board.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
So that was awesome because I became president. I wanted to know what's going on with the units and the finances. So, I was asking simple questions like, could you guys show me the finances, show me like bank statements so I can see what's coming in, what's going out, just to see where we're at, right?
Yeah, so I mean, and to piggyback on that a little bit, in October when we went to the annual board meeting, we were both there, so we owned 5 units. A couple questions we had was, what's our monthly income versus expenditures? How much money are we, acquiring in the account each month? To build the balance, what can that be used for to, repair the pool, roads, things like that. And they told us they didn't have those numbers at that time. Basically, they had no idea.
Yeah, they pretty much showed us the financials on a Word document, whatever they typed up. So that's what we were dealing with. I forgot to put it in here, but I was I was demoted in December. I was demoted because I was asking too many questions. They couldn't produce paperwork, so they called a special meeting and demoted me, saying that whoever's president or on the board must be within 2 miles proximity of the property.
Which is not in the HOA bylaws.
Not in the bylaws, but they created it out of nowhere, out of thin air. I got voted off out of the 4 or 5 members. Yeah. So that was my
HOA presidency run.
Yeah, for a whole month. That was awesome. Now we're in the December. GC and subcontract. They took a couple months, weeks off towards the end during the holidays. Came in January. We wrapped up all the final renovations. January 20th. We're actually driving down to San Antonio for a mastermind, and I was going over all the numbers with our realtor, and we're looking at the comps. We're like, hey man, let's just add 5,000 on each sales price, knowing where the market is, knowing that the supply and demand, knowing that it's in Grand Prairie, it was right off the new tollway 161. So,
and every unit almost 100% brand new.
Yeah, we gutted everything inside and out, and let's see what happens. And in February, all properties were listed under contract for over asking. Yeah. After we pumped it up 5,000 on each.
And just a real quick, recap on that. So every property that we did, all but one unit had all new electrical. They probably had 60% new plumbing, brand new HVAC. Roof was brand new. 75% of the drywall was brand new. New water heater, new carpet, new flooring. They were brand new cabinets, kitchens, countertops. They're brand new units, pretty much.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we have 5 contracts terminated.
With some weird text from the HOA president. A lot of them were terminated due to HOA issues, which was strange.
Yeah, because I was demoted and the new president lived on the property and...
No. She didn't live on the property. She has 2 rentals on the property.
Oh, okay. So she kind of scared some of the buyers. So
happened to be there.
Yeah. But we're all looking to close here soon. We're closing one tomorrow, and the rest first week of March, and one last one the second week of March.
Yeah.
So here are the numbers. 5 units. We purchased it at 63 a pop. The repairs, whoa, Nelly. Yeah, we were at estimated 45,000 when we walked in, and of course you saw the pictures. We couldn't see everything behind the walls. We didn't know it's going to be all new plumbing, new electrical, all these items. So
a lot of framing as well,
yeah,
because of what was in the walls. There was a lot of damage. The framing on this stuff, these were built 30 years ago, I believe. They're 30 years old. And the framing on them, I can't believe they passed any kind of code. It's just, there was a lot to do once we tore out the drywall and saw what was behind it. So, yeah. But we make our money on the purchase. So, yeah.
So we purchased it pretty at a right price. And so earlier, the ARV that we did have was 800,000. We ended up selling all the sales price. We're at 908 after a year. So the capital here, you can see the one that's highlighted. That's the one that we paid out early. And, we covered that, no problem. And so we ended up spending about 65,000 just on capital. But then we had gross profits of 165,000. Yep. So if you guys, I think that was it.
Done screen share?
Yeah. I don't know if y'all want to see quick, like,
yeah, show after.
real quick. After.
You gotta share.
Oh, okay.
No, it's all right. Keep
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your screen right now.
Okay.
Can you see the pictures?
I can't see the pictures.
Okay. No. So go to
Stop and then
new share. There you go. And then click the picture.
okay.
Right there. There you go.
Real quick. So can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
All right. So we cleaned it pretty nice. See, the green is still there because I couldn't change the colors.
Because he wasn't HOA president.
Because I got demoted. So, but we went all out on these. And so, yeah, nice green. But everything looks nice. Everything got sold. And there you go.
We had everything under contract within, we listed 3 of them in the first week, and then 2 because they were duplicates a week later. And even losing 5 of the contracts, I think we had all of them contracted with the 5 dropped contracts within 2 weeks, I think 2.5 weeks. So it was a good price range, awesome purchase price, but I think that helped a lot. But yeah, so it was very interesting.
Nice. Hey, that HOA experience, you probably don't get that with every investment, right?
No, definitely not.
Nah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I was excited to hear about this one because I had a little bit of the kind of basic info from when we met yesterday. But judges, let's go ahead and bring you guys back on. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought of this case study. We can get Nathan, Tom, and Jeff. Jeff, I see you here first. So let's go ahead and hear your feedback.
Oh, well, to the office of the former ex-president of the HOA. All right. So I like how you talked about how you got the source of the deal, that you negotiated that wholesaler down off of their crazy inflated wishful thinking numbers that so many of them are infected with. Now, all you wholesalers out there, don't be too mad at me. Okay. But it's the guys who actually buy the property and put the sweat equity capital into it that need to make the bigger profit. Okay. I'm off my soapbox now. All right. So great deal. Loved it. Politics is an interesting business. Yes, I know that quite well. And overall, the fact that you had a couple of IRA lenders, great. Now, for me, if I get an IRA lender that comes to me and goes, I need my money back, boy, they get their money back and we just don't do business again. You know, that's just the way. So I completely respect how you bought them out and left them out, because to do that quick wash back and forth, there's some appearances of some issues that I just don't like there. Exactly. And I'm glad you didn't do that. So wisely done, gentlemen. Wisely done.
There's too many issues with getting it back, so we just decided not to worry about it.
Yep. Well done.
Thank you.
Awesome. Tom, you want to go next?
Yes, I was just doing the score here. Sorry about that. But no, this was a fantastic deal. I love the value play. It is a simple deal, although it had a lot of complexity to it, but it is certainly simple enough that it's repeatable. You had at least a year on it. I know you didn't want to have it that long, but as it turned out for the IRA investors, it was a year-long deal for them. ROI was phenomenal. And so, yeah, educational value, I think there was certainly plenty of that as well. So y'all got really good marks, and I appreciate the story. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Nathan, what you got?
I think I'd echo a lot of Tom's comment. You hit a lot of the bases. I like that you use IRAs. I think it's important, as Jeff said, is you have to be flexible.
Exactly.
When you're using your IRA with your people that you really are partnering up, and it's, especially on a deal like that, if timeline ran over, that should be almost expected as a lender.
Yeah.
On that particular type of deal. But that's, again, it might lead to the experience of the lender and other things. Not everyone's different. I love the education about HOAs, because that is just a different world in all of itself. Anytime an HOA interjects into a deal, it's like the wild card. You don't know how it's actually going to play out. But I enjoyed that you played it to the extent that you could. So good story.
Thank you.
Awesome, judges. Well, thank you so much for your feedback. And guys, don't leave yet. We are about to announce our scores of the night. If we can get our other speakers to go ahead and come back on really quick. Give me just 1 second. Let me make sure I still have my PowerPoint pulled up here. All right. So if you guys have joined this event before, slideshow, play from current slide, you know I have a fancy scoreboard at the end here, but actually, wait, give me 1 second. I'll have to unshare really quick. All right. Stop share. And we'll just go ahead and share the whole screen. All right. Here we go. All right, judges, let's move it right back to the top. Rick, you had a great case study of senior living, maybe some crazy people, maybe some great lessons learned here. Judges, get out your scores and let's hear some final feedback. Let's go with Jeff. Let's put you first. Jeff, what did you score Rick, and do you have any last final comments for us? Oh, Jeff, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, I unmuted myself now. Hopefully you can hear me. Yes. This is the case of horse theft. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I gave Rick a even 7.0. Meth, horse theft, and a 7.0.
Any better than that.
Awesome. All right. So next up, we've got 7 points so far. Nathan, what did you score Rick? And do you have any last final feedback for us?
I wanted to score Rick higher, but when I try to score him against the credentials, but I thought his story was educational. I thought that I liked that he dispelled a lot of myths and then talked about his own weaknesses, because I know I've done the same thing. And every time I go back and break my own rules, I always like know who to blame, it was a painful lesson. I thought the education value was wonderful, and the story was good, and entertainment. So overall, you got a 7.4.
Nice, 7.4. All right, Tom. Last but not least, what did you score Rick? And do you have any last final feedback for us?
I think I covered the feedback okay. Rick, on a scale of 1 to 10, I got you at a 7.6.
All right, so that puts Rick at a final 22 out of 30 points. Rick, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Judges, thank you for your feedback there. Next up, we have the multifamily syndication deal with Kaylee McMahon using some passive IRA money and a nice return after 1 year. Let's keep it the same order. Jeff, what did you score Kaylee, and do you have any last final comments for us?
I loved the deal. I love the education out of it. I am a harsh grader, apparently, compared to my other judges. My score for Kaylee was 7.25.
7.25. All right. Maybe kind of getting kind of close at the end with these decimal points. Nathan, what did you score Kaylee? And do you have any last final feedback for us?
I loved Kaylee's story. Matter of fact, I liked the way that she took time, though she shortened herself to 8 minutes, to qualify or show how she qualifies for the different apartment complexes. The only thing she lost points on with me is not explaining the IRA, which, like I said, all fit in the story anyway. I had to try to stick it in. So she got an 8.5.
8.5. Great score for Kaylee there. And Tom, what did you score Kaylee? And do you have any last final feedback for us?
I've got Kaylee. Again, I love that story too. I love the deal. But yeah, she was just rushed and missed a few things. I've got her at a 7.5.
7.5. All right. Ooh, getting close with these decimals. So that gives us a final score for Kaylee McMahon for 23.25. Got too big of text there, but that's okay. All right, so moving right along, we have Josh Andrews. Josh, you had a great non-performing note. Maybe not the most typical note investment that you see, but it was definitely popular with our judges. Jeff, what did you score Josh, and do you have any last final feedback for us?
I gave Josh the highest score of the evening among all the presenters. I gave Josh a score of 8.1. I know I'm probably conservative compared to the other judges, but that deal was just money for me. That deal is I see these deals on a weekly basis. I have clients doing these things.
Jeff, did you just like that deal because it had $12,000 in legal fees? We as an audience, we just want to know.
Oh, the guy that lives with, is a brother to, a business partner of, and works with a lawyer has to bash the other lawyer. I love it. No, it had, I mean, the only criticism I could give to Josh, and it's on, I want everybody in the audience to listen to me really carefully here. Josh gave you a really quick crash course on good fundamental due diligence using tools and techniques that most people don't know about. The only criticism I could give to Josh is he kind of should have guessed that litigation cost was going to get out of control considering the borrower's past history. But other than that, I just think that deal was just a rocket ship no-brainer. I'd grab that defaulted second position for $7,500 every time with those numbers. Yes, that's all.
Awesome, Jeff.
So my score for him once again is an 8.1.
Yes, 8.1. All right, Nathan, what did you score Josh, and what kind of last feedback do you have for us?
I just like Josh's story. He scored really high with me because as we look through the rating categories, I think it's repeatable. Right. He had multiple exit strategies, had a good education on it, got a little whipping with the legal fees, which is also a good education. As soon as you involve the attorneys, it's going to go up. Right, Jeff? The real lesson there is the sooner you involve the attorneys, the less it tends to go up. But that's the lesson that takes a little bit of time in business to learn, for most of us anyway. But I think that it was educational. We talked about the IRAs, how we used them. I scored the highest of a night at a 9.2.
Ooh, our highest score so far. Great job, Josh. But we have one more score left to reveal here. Tom, what did you score, Josh? And what kind of last final feedback do you have for us?
All right, so I really broke with the crowd here. Josh scored the lowest for me of the four, and not because I didn't like the deal. I did. It was a fantastic deal, but I'm looking for how easy for a self-directed IRA holder are these deals. And that type of deal, I mean, I'm a sophisticated investor, but there were things in there I didn't even know. I don't think it's as simple as what a lot of people might think it is. Therefore, I don't think it's as repeatable. And the term on it was only 12 months. So it did have a short duration. So for those 3 reasons, I gave it my lowest of the 4 scores, which was 7.2.
7.2. All right. Well, Josh, despite Tom's low score for you, you are in fact in the lead right now with a total of 24.5 points. And last but not least, we have the ex-HOA president and Eric, who's not on the HOA president at all. You guys had a great case study. It was very entertaining. Jeff, what did you score Tang and Eric, and what final feedback do you have for us?
I gave them a 7.5, and I think the feedback I have to share is, folks, you got a tremendous educational lesson on beware of HOAs. You got a tremendous educational lesson that is, as was it Nathan or Tom? One of the two of them said, HOAs are the wild card in the deal.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, everybody tonight brought massive educational value. And that was what that was to me was the keystone of your educational component was, man, HOAs can just turn a deal sideways.
Yeah, honestly, I was trying to take over HOA so I can buy out all the 40 units, honestly.
I was kind of wondering if that's what your thought process.
Yeah, that was the plan.
That's why you're investing so much time in it. So
yeah.
I think they knew that and they wanted to cut it off. But anyhow.
Exactly.
Started asking too many questions. All right, awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Next up, let's go with Nathan. Nathan, what did you score Tang and Eric, and what final feedback?
I thought it was a great study. I thought it was very educational. I love that they brought in the HOA and what went on. I would have liked to have heard how the IRAs fared in the deal, or how the investors that you had in it, turned out. You might not want to share that. I got that. But it seemed like you had a lot of private investors in there that got you through this deal, and you obviously have repeat private investors because you take good care of them. So you probably had one of the best stories of the night, but I would have liked to hear that little part, and that's just the IRA part of me. But I gave you an 8.9.
Ooh, 8.9. Great score there. Last but not least, Tom, what did you score Tang and Eric, and what final feedback do you have for us?
So I love this deal. I loved all these deals, all for different reasons. Obviously, they were all so unique. So hats off to you and the folks at Quest for putting together such a phenomenal, diverse group of case studies. This has just been fascinating tonight. I gave them my highest score of the night because they scored the highest on my 6 criteria that I have on my list. Simple, repeatable, duration is the only place I would give them a knock. Again, just like the last story, it was only about a year in duration. ROI was phenomenal, creativity and educational value. Like Jeff said, I mean, this was like a 2-day boot camp in 10 minutes. So for me, this one got an 8, which was the highest score for me all night.
Ooh, y'all, it is close. I love that you use decimals. Tang and Eric, I am so sorry, but that gives you a final score of 24.4.
Oh my.
And we did not plan that. The scores are
Wow.
real.
We did not.
So y'all should check it out.
So what is it exactly Josh wins?
Yep. Awesome. Josh, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. To all of our other guest speakers, thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your knowledge and expertise and a little bit of a look into what some real case studies are that people are doing out there. Kind of to echo what the judges said, we have hosted this event, I think 3 or 4 times now. I think it gets better and better every time we host it. If any of you guys watching out there have a case study that you think you would like to compete with, feel free to reach out to me directly. I help to coordinate all of these events for you guys. So Rick,
Hey,
Kaylee.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
I saw it came up in chat. I don't know. You don't have to answer it, Tang, Eric, but they're wanting to know basically, on the private money lenders, did you have to pay points, or were you just paying an interest rate? Or
Yeah. So each one was negotiated separately. So we did pay points.
But we negotiated everything on the back end, just showing them our credentials and showing them our past deals that we like to show them, like, hey, this is what we typically pay. We usually put everything on the back end, and and every single one was fine with it. Well, two of the lenders never met me, never seen me before, never shook my hand or anything. They just met me through Facebook, just through what we do online. And they're like, hey, we'll invest in your deal. I was like, cool. So I still haven't met them. Shout out to Sydney and Ashley. I'll meet you one day.
Yeah.
But they're ready to invest on the next deal. We just sent emails today with their payoffs, and they're like, hey, we have some Quest money.
So we put it back in.
Let's do some more. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Yeah. So 3 of them were repeat lenders, and 2 were people we'd never met.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for sharing that, because the person was asking, and I think it's important to understand that it is, and I pretty much figured you'd give that answer, that it is a private negotiation, is what takes place most of the time between, and it will be based off of the experience of the person borrowing and all types of things, the equity in the property and all that type of stuff. So,
if I may, I want to make one comment here, and that is, I hope the audience sees the consistency among all 4 presentations, that these are established investors that have a good reputation in their community, and it wasn't hard for them to raise the capital that they need to go do. In Tang's presentation, he talked about how quickly he raised the money. Kaylee, you can see how quickly she raises the money. Every time it was, here comes the money. They've got the money. Folks, if you're looking at this, you need to understand, these are individuals that have spent the time building the reputation, having the knowledge base, putting in the work to get to that point where they can pick up the phone, they can send an email, and the deals get taken quickly.
I get more deals through text than anything. Like, I need 120, I need 150.
Millennials.
I love it. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, to all of our judges, to all of our speakers, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I love this event. It's such a fun setup. So to all of our attendees out there, thank you for joining us. Be sure to give us feedback. If you like our events, if you want to hear more case studies about certain topics, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to our team of IRA specialists. We are here to help you. Josh, congratulations. You don't really win anything except the pride that you won tonight. I know, right?
Linda McQuesty.
Yes. Awesome, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a great night. I hope everyone in Texas is doing okay after the freeze last week and kind of recovering all right. I know we're all getting back into the swing of things, hitting the gas hard this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Be sure to check out our other events on our website at questtrust.com. And that's all I've got. Y'all have a great night. Bye, everyone.